Welcome to the ID10T podcast number 1040. Say, if you live in America, so do I, and I'll be traversing this land of ours for the Wizard Guitar Tour, which starts January 24th and 25th in Columbus, Ohio, at the Columbus Funny Bone, and then the following weekend in Philadelphia at Helium, and then other dates booked through the summer right now: San Francisco, Sacramento, Brea, California, Portland, Oregon, Boston, Denver, Bloomington, Indiana, Minneapolis, Austin, Texas, Cleveland, Ohio, Nashville, some dates in Florida, Phoenix later in the year, and then more dates to be added soon. If you go to id10t.com/tour, you can get tickets and info on all that business. So come on out. I will be bringing the aforementioned Wizard guitar with me. And if you want high fives or you want me to sign something or whatever, then by all means. Okay, so let's talk about you, the ID10T community, events at id10t.com. Like Brandon, who writes, I make pictures out of tiny squares and post them online for fun. I'm, of course, talking about pixel art or 8-bit art, like the kind seen in retro video games. Oh, Brandon, I remember when those were just called video games, because I'm old. Anyway, he says it's been a hobby of mine for about 5 years, and I've started a YouTube channel to share tutorials, narrated time-lapses, and concept-to-completion videos. Check it out if you're interested in slinging squares or just looking for a new and unique art channel. It is youtube.com/BJGPixel, or his work on Instagram is Brandon James Greer, Greer. And again, that is on the Instagrams. Thank you, Brandon, for putting some 8-bit art into the world. This episode is Michelle Monaghan, who has been on the podcast many times. She is a friend of mine who also happens to be a phenomenal actor. She's been in a ton of amazing stuff. Look her up, but you know who she is. And she is on a new Netflix series called Messiah, which is streaming right now. And just a super cool lady who, I don't know, it was just a great conversation. It was the first podcast recorded in 2020. We recorded this just a couple days ago. She came over to the house and it was like a nice catch-up chat with some good nuggets of wisdom in there too. And she told me, by the way, about a documentary. I mean, she mentions it in the body of the podcast, but a documentary called The Biggest Little Farm, which Lydia and I watched on Hulu, and it is phenomenal. Michelle grew up on a farm. She knows from farm life, and but even if you don't know anything about farms or understand anything about farms, The Biggest Little Farm is such an amazing human story about this couple who decides to go just drop everything and go try to build a sustainable farm, and it is phenomenal. So I am not only pitching that you watch Michelle's show Messiah on Netflix, but that also you watch The Biggest Little Farm on, I'm pretty sure we watched it on Hulu. Anyway, you have the resources to look it up. There's a very smart computer in your pocket that has access to the sum total of all human knowledge. You can find it. So that's that. This is the episode 1040 of the ID10T podcast with Michelle Monaghan.
Initiating ID10T protocol.
Curtain. We were gone for like a week and a half, so
yeah.
We just kind of shut the house down.
And let's bring it back to life,
now
dude.
It's slowly like we came home and it was weirdly musty. Like we were only gone for a week and a half. It's haunted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's ghost children in the house now. I don't think they were here before.
Exciting, dude.
Oh my God, Lydia would be thrilled. She's convinced the house is haunted.
Is she?
Yes.
Does she see ghosts, or do you see ghosts?
I don't see anything. She hears
certain things.
She's had multiple accounts of, I thought you came home. I heard the door close. I heard someone.
So interesting.
I called out to you. You didn't answer. So I came downstairs and you weren't. Your car wasn't here. That's so
interesting. Have you ever had like a medium or anybody come and like kind of?
No, I mean she would love that.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's there's an electrician who comes and works on the house, like when electrical stuff, obviously when electrical stuff goes down, and he worked for the previous owners of the house, and he said he's seen a lot of funky stuff.
Interesting.
And so she's all in.
Electricians don't lie.
they never lie. Totally affordable.
Yeah, exactly.
Always on time.
Exactly.
No, but it is. So she's convinced.
Yeah.
She's like,
oh, that's so interesting.
This house is definitely haunted, and I'm like, it's definitely not. And we haven't. Do you watch the ghost shows ever? Do you watch?
No, I've seen them. I've seen them, but I don't necessarily watch them or whatever. But I do believe in all of that. Like
you do.
My husband's had a couple of encounters.
Really?
Yeah, in our old house in New York. I never have. So it's kind of one of those things that like I do believe it exists, but yet who it exists for is different.
I mean, I don't think I'm such a skeptic that if I turn the corner and there was just some like floating ghost, I'd be like, "You're not real."
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, I would fully shit my pants.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just have yet to
encounter it.
I just have yet to,
and
encounter
I sort of
it.
don't want them in my house,
right?
Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, what? They're cool. They're
maybe
yours.
It's their house, Michelle. Maybe it's their house.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it'd be fun to pitch. Not that I really want to do this kind of show, but I think it'd be fun to do a show with Lydia where we go and because we like to restore houses.
Yeah.
We go and restore a house, and part of the house restoration is she has to like cleanse it.
Yeah.
And then I come in and I'm like, seriously, what are you waving around? What are you burning in the house?
Exactly.
Are you really? We're doing this.
Exactly.
So it's just that because I'm sure there are a lot of relationships where one is into it and the other person isn't.
Yeah.
And
it's true. And then they're conflicting. And you're like, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. Right? Like, you know what I mean? There's something underneath my bed or in my closet. That's okay.
Oh my god! So Pete has seen ghosts, or
so he's seen them.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, he's seen them, and he's had one experience where it was like pulling him out of bed.
Oh no! Okay.
Yeah, where he was like, it was a very visceral thing, and if he talks about it, he gets like, he gets
really upset.
He gets like that was like for real, and there was no denying it, and that was a really interesting.
Did your kids ever do creepy things?
No, kids never seen creepy. Kids have never done. Willow, definitely not creepy. Tommy, I sort of think that I don't know. I don't know if he's got an imagination or if he sees things and likes to talk to them. But you know what I mean? That one I'm not quite. He's a really interesting little kid. He's like he's like an empath, and was born like a few minutes before Halloween. So
oh my gosh!
Yeah, so I always think like there's something else a little deeper going on there with him.
Oh
but
my
he's a really special kid.
I'm telling you, if Lydia could engineer a Halloween baby,
yeah, that would be it, right?
She would. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if let's see. So if that would be like February.
Yeah, it's Valentine's Day babies.
Valentine's Day babies lead to.
That's where. Yeah, it's like a Valentine's Day situation.
I wouldn't be surprised if around April she was like, surprise. No more birth control.
Exactly.
And we're having a Halloween baby. And
exactly.
You're going to like it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it is our favorite It's our favorite holiday.
Yeah, exactly.
Of all time. Oh, by the way, Pete is an Aussie, yes?
Yes, he is.
How is he with the
So he's
fires?
Fortunately, most of our friends and family are in Victoria, which is the state, the province below. And they're doing okay. They're safe from the fires from now, but it is, I mean, as we all can see, it's absolutely
it's unreal. We're just
unreal.
Seeing this footage of these just poor, like charred animals, and the sky is red. I mean, it must seem apocalyptic.
Yeah, from the sounds of it, it is. I mean, we've got friends that are in Sydney that are just saying just the air quality, of course. I mean, even if you're not impacted directly by the fires, you're impacted by the smoke, and the smoke now has come down to it's going to Victoria. So even, taking refuge at a beach and things like that, you're still,
of course,
the smoke inhalation, all of that. It's just, and it's like 500,000 animals, I think, is the way that I understand it right now.
Really devastating. I mean, I'm so glad Pete's okay. I'm glad he's okay.
Thank you.
I'm glad his family's okay.
But
so
anybody that can go out there, I just posted something on my Instagram, actually. So you can go to my Instagram and there's places where you can directly make an impact and give assistance in any way, shape, or form. So, the thing is, I think that we all need to realize, like, this is just all of our problem.
Right,
and this is like what's happening there has happened here, not to that extreme, thank God, but it's possible that it could and anywhere else in the world. And so it's just so important to realize that we all need to make an impact. And, even in our daily lives, even when some of our governments are not, that we all realize that we need to be responsible for, our environment in this actual very real climate fight.
Are you in LA for just to promote Messiah, or
no? I'm here.
You're here. You're here.
Yeah, so I live just down the road from you.
Oh, great.
We're really close. So
good.
So no, I've been traveling. I've been working up in Vancouver, and I'll head back up there tomorrow. But this is home. This is home.
It is. So you had a little bit of a holiday break, but Vancouver is where you're shooting.
Exactly.
For how long now?
Until the end of January.
Got it.
Yeah.
They said that Netflix tried to send us a screener, but we were in a hotel in Maui, which, by the way, let me just say, Maui was amazing, and I apologize for this. This is not a complaint. I don't want this to sound like a complaint. There's almost no internet.
Wow.
I mean, they have it. Yes, of course they have it, but it's very clear.
That's why Woody Harrelson lives there.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense now. But it's funny because a lot of places where you go, it's like, I got full signal, but it just doesn't work.
Right.
And so I asked one of the locals there, I was like, and of course sounding like a dipshit mainlander, hey, how come it says? Yeah. And he was like, yeah, you just don't know. He goes, I've lived here for years and years. I still haven't figured it out yet.
Wow.
So there's no... we just really couldn't use the internet much, so we weren't able to stream it.
It's okay.
So I apologize.
Right. No worries. And by the way, you were on holiday, so at some point, you just got to not do work.
But watching a show isn't work for us. It's a fun thing to do. It's a fun thing to do. Yeah. But it's very clear. And then there's that reminder of you shouldn't be looking at your fucking phone because there's whales and nature and it's gorgeous.
Exactly.
Have you been? Have you spent a lot of time there?
I've never been to Maui, but we've spent a lot of time in Kauai and Honolulu Bay, and that's honestly one of our favorite places on earth. It's absolutely stunning there. So I don't know if I'll go to Maui if you check out Honolulu Bay.
I've been to Kauai and I love it, but it was a long time ago. But I had never been to Maui. And my wife's mom took us all to Maui and convinced us. I was the only person that needed convincing. I went up in a helicopter. Have you done that?
Yes, many times.
Oh, I was terrified to do it, but then once I did it, I was fine.
Yeah, it is terrifying, but it is one of those things. Like if there is somewhere where it's that kind of landscape where it's beautiful seeing it on land, but if I can get in the sky and see those waterfalls in the rainforest and all just that particular region, we had done it once and it was so beautiful, and then we brought my folks there, and I was like, my mom and dad have to, they live in Iowa.
Of course.
They just see farmland.
It's just flat.
It's just flat. I'm like, Mom, Dad, trust me. You got to take this ride with us. And just to see that, it was absolutely stunning. It's very special.
We had a cool helicopter pilot. It was one
They're
of those,
all cool. Come on. They fly choppers. They're all
cool.
fucking cool.
They're cool. The two things. Well, so the whole family was like, you don't have to do this if you don't want. And I'm like, no, it terrifies me, so I have to do it.
Yes,
it's a new year. I can't not do it.
Yeah.
And so I just made a deal with myself as I'm going to get over this, and I did. And the pilot was cool because I was trying to play the Jurassic Park theme on my phone.
Yeah.
And he goes, I got that. And he played it in the helicopter. So as we're flying through these cliffs, we're just hearing dun, 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 dun. So that was fun. He did not have the Magnum PI theme, but otherwise.
Oh my God, that's amazing! That's a great idea. Is to be playing the Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? All of that. They just be playing the theme songs.
It enhances the experience so much to be able to hear that, because it's the helicopters. I'd never been in one before, and they maneuver in dragonfly. It's so
when they bank, bank really hard. You're like.
banking
so
or just
fancy.
spinning in place and just going straight up. And it was really, really, really incredible.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place? What's your favorite place to go on Earth? Do you and Pete have a special?
Well, we really I will say that Honolulu Bay I think is
That's the one?
is right up there,
Yeah.
and then also we love Byron Bay in
Oh
Australia.
yeah! Oh my gosh! Of
Yeah,
course.
and that's
I've been
kind
there.
of like the Australian version, I guess, of Honolulu Bay.
Yeah.
But he's a big surfer. He loves to be by the ocean. I like to surf as well, even though I'm not that great. But we enjoy like that kind of vibe and just cruisy, kicking like anywhere we can have our shoes off for like the entire week and just like hanging out and feet in the sand.
That's so interesting. It's so adorable and wonderful that you two found each other, like farm girl and like Australian surfer guy.
Well, we met in a bar, so that says a lot. That's where you find a farm girl and an Australian surfer dude. You meet in a bar in New York, and that's how it happens.
Oh, that's really nice. That's really, really nice. I mean, it is such a like I don't generally consider myself an outdoorsy person, but being outside of Maui, I'm like, being outside is great.
Yeah.
Don't know if I could surf. Even just snorkeling, I feel like I inhaled so much seawater.
You know what? It's a little. I will say that snorkeling makes me really like being in, because I was never really in the water. I mean, I don't even think I experienced the ocean until I was 19, like 18, 19 for the first time. And so, Pete's gotten me really comfortable with it, but I remember the first time we went snorkeling, I was sucking in so much, because it all, like I'm more comfortable jumping out of a plane for real than like diving in, like into the ocean and like, I'm sucking on my, I'm diving the air. I'm like, I'm going to run out of air in like 5 minutes because I can't like neutralize my breath.
Yes.
It's all about the breathing. Yeah. And it's like that's
but also
really
if
difficult.
you duck below the surface just a little bit and you could breathe in the fuck, because you're not paying attention,
or you get it in your goggles and shit, like, oh god, and then you're trying to kick up and let it go, you have this thing and then and
it's fogging and the flippers are digging into your
everybody
toes
else and they're super cool and they got the flippers in motion.
It's always that. There's some like fucking 8-year-old kid who's just like Aquaman, dipping down, like my ears won't pop, this is weird, why am I trying to pretend to be a fish?
Exactly.
But it was great. Surfing terrifies me. It really just feels like one of those things where I'm going to get hit in the face with my own board.
Yeah, it does. And it all happens. It all happens. The fin like cuts your foot. Like all of the above happens. But then when you actually catch that wave and you surf it and you can feel it, it's so exhilarating. It's kind of like golfing,
Sure.
And it's like you just have a shit hit every single time. Then all of a sudden, like you just have a great drive or whatever it is.
Yes,
it keeps you coming back for more.
That is an analogy. So I've played golf my whole life. My grandfather played. I worked at golf courses all through college. I haven't played in years.
Yeah.
And I started playing a little bit last year. And I played great. And then I realized, like, oh, fuck, this is how it happens. You don't play for a long time, so you forget all your mistakes.
Yeah, yes.
And then you're like, I should do this. And you start doing it, and then you just
oh my god,
snowball mistakes.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I got to with my left arm, and then hips, and then all of a sudden you're in it, and then you play like shit, and then you have to quit for 2 more years again.
That is so how it goes.
Yeah,
because it's so interesting. Like when you just like let go, you completely let go, and you're just present. You're just doing it for fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you decide you're like, I need to take this fun a little bit more serious and make it my official fucking hobby. So I can suck at it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just need to get good enough at it again so I can be awful and get angry at it to where it's not fun at all. And I'm like, why am I doing this for 5 hours? And these people won't just fucking hit the ball and drive. Like
oh my God.
How do you play? I didn't know you played.
No, I mean, I used to play. Like growing up, I played a little bit. But it's one of those things, like whenever I go home to Iowa, there's not a lot to do there in the summer, but we've got a golf course near our house and I'll go hit the ball around a little bit. And, I'm encouraged because I'm like, oh wait, I'm not that bad. I'm very good on the green. I'm a really good putter. So that's kind of the better part of my game. So I like playing like a best shot. You know what I mean? With your group of people. Whoever gets the best shot, like I will carry us through. I will carry us through, team. I just need somebody to get us there. So I enjoy it. But like in terms of, actively pursuing it. I always think like I want to get up here at Griffith Park and do it or something, but I never get around to doing it.
It's a
fun sport.
It's a fun sport. It is nice to be outside for 4 or 5 hours, but the fucked up thing about golf is that if you play basketball or something like that, it's like you can make a mistake and within 2 seconds you can turn that shit around.
Exactly.
But with golf, you can have literally 17 and a half amazing holes.
Yes, it's true.
And then it just all unravels in the last,
it's so true.
I was playing so great. And
It's
then,
so true. It's so true.
And then you can totally blow it. But it's a good metaphor for life, I think.
It is.
To just let everything
It's
go.
also a good thing to watch and nap to, I find.
It is.
There's something about putting golf on, like on a Saturday or Sunday, and the announcers, it's like almost meditative.
Oh, yeah.
And then you hear like the faint clap,
I have a
golfer
theory
clap.
on this.
You do?
Yes.
And before I know it, like, because I actually really enjoy watching it, and then before I know it, like, I've woken up and I'm like, shit, I just fell asleep during, the Masters, third day of the Masters.
I know why it is, and it's not just because it can be boring to watch sports, but I think I think golf basically mimics all of the sounds we hear in the womb,
right?
Where it's just all these like little high end noises. And then here we go. Like it must be all that kind of weird.
Oh my god, that is so interesting because you hear the sounds of nature.
Yeah.
Right? You hear the minimal clap. It's like, yes, go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yes, go on.
It's just all that stuff. There's like a little bit of a sound barrier. You just get like bits and pieces of all the faint sounds of being in the womb, and that's when we were good snorkelers. That's when we were good at snorkeling, was being in the womb. So I think it does just mimic all of those.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
That must be
Nailed
what you
it.
hear.
I like it. I love that theory.
Do you get to take a lot of time off, or do you just go from thing to thing to thing?
Do you know what I took off after I finished shooting Messiah? That was about 6 or 7 months. I took most of the year off. I took about 7 months off.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it really was amazing. I really needed it. I ended my journey on the show because we shot in Jordan. I went on about a 2-week holiday there, and I went to Petra and Wadi Rum and went all over Israel. So that I've ended it with a vacation, and then was just home and not shooting, kind of, actively working on other things and stuff like that, but not actually committed to any project. And then I just sort of, towards the tail end of the year, a couple of opportunities came up and I decided to go back to work. So typically it's you never know when jobs are going to come up.
Right.
It's, and things kind of come together and then they ultimately fall apart and then something else kind of takes its place. So, I never really have a set thing in terms of like, okay, now I'm going to take time off. With the exception of Messiah, where I was like, I really needed to take time off of that after that. But when I'm not taking time off, when I do decide to take time off, I really try to take full advantage of it by like squeezing in a nice family holiday if we can, or, just doing like little road trips on the weekend, and you can do that in California.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can take like a Friday off, and we just try to go camping for the weekend, or we go to the beach for the weekend, just things like that really feels restorative, and like, feels like we're having great quality family time and, doing things together.
Do you do full on legit camping, like pitch the tent?
Yeah, I mean, we've done that. We go to like Burning Man and we pitch the tent, my husband and I, and we've done it here a few times. But we like to go up to this place up north where you get like this tiny little cabin, and then we hang out there and we don't hoof it too much.
Right. I feel like there's a nice balance. There's a nice balance. I think I feel like I'm too old now to start being like, I'm gonna learn how to tie a bunch of knots and make fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be able to say that you can do that, but like
great.
I don't. The idea, like, because we grew up doing it solely. My mom,
wow.
We would pack up a tent in a Suburban, and we would drive out to like Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, and those were our summer vacations. But in doing that, like my mom spent 2 weeks like prepping like coolers to make sure we had meals and food and things like that, and then we'd come home and then she'd be unpacking all the gear, with my dad's help, of course. But it was like, it's a lot of work to actually like hoof it and have that kind of vacation. You know what I mean? There's a lot of prep and, and cleanup that involves that. So I like to go somewhere where I can pack up a cooler, but there's food, like, that I can easily access. And,
gosh, though, your mom, though, I have so much respect for that because I feel like when we were growing up, maybe my mom was the exception to this, but I feel like if you grew up in the Midwest, probably your parents were just cool about stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? The kids, they're gonna run around.
Yeah.
They're probably gonna fall down. They might, maybe a squirrel's gonna bite them. Who knows?
Yes.
But whatever, it'll be fine. Like a kid, we went to like a really nice resort in Maui, and my bag is like, okay, I have Neosporin, I have Pepto.
Exactly.
I have like my bag is like a medicine cabinet in a Best Buy because it's all power cables and then just any kind of medicine you could need.
Yeah.
When you're a parent, as I assume I maybe will be for Halloween. Who knows if Lydia gets an idea?
Yeah.
But
if I slip it to her.
Yeah. But how do you not, especially like when you're out in the wilderness, like, oh, don't touch it. Oh, be careful. Oh, God. Oh, don't. Oh, that looks poisonous. Oh, please don't eat that.
I know. And our kids are really like curious, especially our boy. And we were just really out in the wilderness for like the last week. We were pretty much off grid. We were in northern New Mexico at this ranch. And it was one of those things too, where, immediately when we got out of the car and we arrived, they started like jumping in the snow. They were so excited. And I was like, guys, come over here. Let's like say hello. Let's figure out like where our rooms are at. And, the gentleman that was helping us was like, listen, he was like, by the end of it, you're going to be letting them run around the whole ranch. You won't even know where they're at. And I was like, yeah. And I'm telling you, by like day 3 came along, we were like, where's Tommy? I don't know. I think I just saw him running around. He's like over there, and it was exactly that. I mean, I think like once you see them, especially like kids, like you just see, how kids thrive. Like I remember as a kid, like I really thrived in nature as a kid. And there's like of course, like we took them tubing and he like flipped over the thing and he hit his head and I was like, shit,
oh, no.
man. Like, I was like, well, there's ice right here. It's just like, dude, just go horizontal right here.
That's what you gotta do.
You know what I mean? Like, that'll take the moment. We're improvising, But it is like one of those things like we're going to get hurt. We're bound to get hurt. And then my dad did it and he like whacked his head a few days later. I mean,
and you're supposed to get hurt a little bit because that's how you learn.
It's about, and I'll tell the best thing that came out of this was like, our son had never been like in proper snow before, and it was like our first night there. We were coming back from dinner. We walked into this little cottage that we were staying in, and we were like, all of a sudden we're like, well, where the hell's Tommy? Right? It's like 10 minutes later. We were getting our gear off, like getting settled, and I'm like, oh wait, he's not here. I walk outside. He's outside, like playing in the snow, like still it's pitch black. And he's got no mittens on. And I was like, fuck.
Oh, no.
Oh, fuck. I was like, Tommy, mate, get inside. He comes inside. He's like, oh, Mommy, my hands are really cold. And I was like, you're about to learn a really big lesson here, okay? This is probably never going to happen again. You're about to experience about 15 minutes of hell. Your hands are frozen. You can't feel them right now. And in a few minutes, they're going to get really, really hot. You're going to burn. And you're going to cry and scream. You're going to be sorry. But it's going to be okay. Just keep them moving. And we made the mistake of putting them under hot water. And that's the thing you're never supposed
to do that.
So, well, we paid for that. He was screaming and hollering. He was genuinely really, really freaked out. Because it is the most awful feeling in the world.
Of course.
But then he was fine, of course. But by the rest of the trip, he never forgot his gloves.
That's how he learns.
But that's the thing. Like, it's so funny. Like because that is the thing. It's like they're gonna get hurt. They're gonna this and that. But you just kind of got to roll with it and
I
deal.
don't want to terrify a kid of like, don't if you do, because then they're just gonna feel like the world's a terrifying place.
Yeah. That's exactly right. There are like animals and things out in the wilderness. And listen, I've made the huge mistake. I remember I was shooting down in New Orleans and I was walking down the street with Willow and I was like, oh my God, look at this caterpillar.
Oh no.
Oh my God, Willow. And I went to pick it up. And I didn't know they had these like fucking like caterpillars down there that they're the black ones. Anybody from down south is going to be like, you're an idiot.
Why did you touch that?
Why'd you touch that thing? And they're black caterpillars. And immediately when you touch them, all the little, the hairs like just immediately embed themselves into your fingers or your feet if you step on one. And it is so painful. Beyond painful, and they stay embedded for days until they decide to come out. So everything is so sensitive. And I remember being on the street with Will, and I was like, "Oh God, fuck! Oh Jesus! Mommy, are you okay? And I was like, don't ever touch one of those caterpillars down here. I was like, don't ever touch one. I was like, I've learned a really bad, I've learned a lesson. Everything's like, I've learned a lesson. You're learning your lesson. Daddy's learning a lesson. But like, that is the only way. It's like,
that's the way you learn.
And you want them to appreciate like the environment and being outside and
not be afraid of every little thing. But still, like there are some dangerous things.
Yeah.
That thing that happened to your son happened to my mom when she was, I think, in her 20s, because she's from Miami.
Right. Okay.
The first time she saw snow, she did the same thing. She just like was fascinated by it. Her hands froze. And she went inside and put them in front of a heater, and she said her skin just blistered immediately.
God.
And it was excruciating.
Yeah. I didn't know that was a thing you weren't supposed to do.
Is it room temperature water or cold water? Because you have to slowly...
It's a good question. We should figure it out. Because it was one of those things. And my husband naturally was like, Tommy, just jump in the shower. We'll turn it on really warm. And I was like, yeah. We'll warm you right up. And then meanwhile, we were just actually making it worse.
Way worse.
And I was like, oh, wow, Mommy and Daddy are learning a lesson too.
Thank you for teaching us, the whole family, a lesson.
Thanks for taking one for the team, kid.
Inside every bit of pain is the seed of a lesson.
Yeah,
That's how it happens.
Exactly.
Katie, let's look this up so we can give people good advice. I imagine everyone else listening to this probably knows the answer, and they're shouting it.
Yeah, they're shouting it.
Don't just put it.
Oh my God, you're so Hollywood. You've forgotten your roots.
Put your hands in frozen broccoli, and the broccoli brings your body temperature. Blah, blah, blah,
exactly.
Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
While Katie's looking this up, are you guys ever? Have we talked about? Maybe we talked about this the first time you were on years ago. Are you? Is farm life in your future at some point?
No.
You did.
No farm life. I mean, I appreciate the farm life, and I so appreciate where I grew up because it was just so. It was just very easygoing and very wholesome. I grew up in rural Iowa, a town of 700 people. Most of my friends back there are still farmers. My dad's a farmhand still. He cannot retire. He loves it. So I love the land and, I love being outdoors, but that's not something that I know that it is probably one of the hardest jobs there is out there, like on a day-to-day basis. Like, my dad's doing chores from like 5 a.m. until the sun goes down and, works on weekends and then, is dependent on the weather. Yeah. Of course, to have, so I know how difficult it is, but, it would be too much for me. I couldn't handle it.
Because it must be interesting to sort of find the balance between, like, I don't want to get too soft. However, being a super successful actress is really comfy sometimes.
Yeah.
There's like a nice comfort in, they're two completely disparate worlds.
Yeah, totally.
So you don't want to go, I would imagine, too far in the like, oh, I don't want to.
Yeah, but I could imagine we don't have a we live in LA, we love LA. I wouldn't mind living somewhere a little bit more rural, like just being out in the wood. Like, I love the mountains. I love the mountain. Give me any kind of green.
Yeah.
I always sort of tell my husband, I'm like, if there was an ocean in Nashville. And he was like, he's like, I could do that.
It's the
and I was
only
like,
thing.
It really is the only thing. Like, Nashville is one of my favorite places on earth. I'm a huge country music fan. Of course, that has a lot to do with it. But, I like the people there and I just like the vibe. And it's just a beautiful state. I think it has the more trees than any state that there. I don't know. I was told that Tennessee does, and I believe it. It's super green. But, I still kind of think, but he needs to be close to the water.
I grew up in Tennessee.
Yeah. Oh, you grew up in Tennessee?
Yeah, I did. I'm from Memphis. I was born in Kentucky, but I grew up in Memphis.
Oh, I didn't know that, dude.
Yeah. But Nashville is a great Nashville. That part of downtown and whatever. It's like a handful of blocks.
Yeah.
Has become fucking Vegas.
Oh,
like
it's
that,
crazy.
Because I was performing there, so I had to go. I went and did a radio thing on the highway, Sirius XM. The highway.
Yeah.
And I'm watching.
By the way, which I listen to all the time.
Oh, that's it. Lydia, by
that
the
and
way.
The Garth Brooks channel.
Yeah, Lydia listens to like early 2000s bubblegum pop, and every other channel is like prime country, the highway. Like, it's just all. And I love classic country. Modern country, for me, feels a little like pop music. But so we go down there, and these fucking pedal pubs are baffling to me.
It's crazy.
How can you just drink because you're on a bike? It's okay.
It's really interesting because I actually did that, and I did it with a girlfriend of mine, my best girlfriend from Iowa. We went down there. And I was shooting down there. And we were walking, and I was like, "Is that for real?" She was like, "Should we get on one?" And then so we got on one, but I was like, and we had a beer, and we went like, I don't know, half a mile or whatever. We got off, but then late night, I mean, there are people and there are no seatbelts. Like, there's nothing holding you there. Yeah. And I'm thinking, like, wow, like, how many times do people fall off the back
or
of these
how are
things?
people not vomiting?
Yeah.
Like,
I think they are.
Yeah, they must be. Are you actually powering it, or is that just part of the illusion?
I don't know. I think it's got to be a part of the illusion because obviously there's 6 people that are just absolutely hammered. They're not going anywhere.
Of course.
The only powering, they're just like powering.
You know what hardcore drinking needs is rigorous physical exertion.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, it's funny because when I was working down there, I was working, so I wasn't partying down there. And they go hard from Wednesday to Sunday night. Those party buses are just, it's the bachelorette capital of the world.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course.
So, all the bachelors are flocking there.
Sure, of course. Because that's where the bachelorettes are.
But what was so cool about, one weekend there, I think I saw John Prine at the Ryman. I saw Billy Idol at some crazy stadium, and then I saw some great little I had some locals give me not the places on Broadway, but a couple little places off the beaten path to see some music. And then I saw some bluegrass on a Sunday mass sort of situation.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, wow, man, I just saw the best music.
It's great.
And it's not, it is Music Town. So it's not just country, but there's so many other things that you can take in there. And the food scene there is unbelievable.
That's why I'm wondering if are the pedal carts is it gonna be like an ice cream pedal cart?
Yeah, exactly.
And a barbecue pedal cart.
And a little churros pedal cart or something.
Oh my God.
That'd be
You'd get fully sick. There's no way. You couldn't possibly, they can't possibly be powering that by pedaling. And that must be part of the, there's no way.
There's gotta be something else there.
You would never be, I mean, from what I remember about drinking is that if I got on an exercise bike and tried to pound beers, it would never, it would be terrible. It would not go well at all.
Situation.
Yeah, Nashville's really great. I just know, because Lydia is, she definitely, her family is they're historically ranchers. Yeah. And so they have a lot of farm and ranch and they have cattle farms and so she's always talking about someday I want to be on a farm. I want to, and she's been leaning so hard on wanting goats. And I'm like, we can't have goats. Oh, but you
can. I mean, there's somebody by our house that lives by our house. I don't know where they're at, but we see them walking the goat with a leash.
Don't let her hear you.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
I think I've convinced her it's not allowed in our neighborhood. We saw it again yesterday. And it's this dude, he's got a goat. And their goats are so friendly. They're like, she says they're like, we love, I solved the problem. Yeah. Because goats are fun. Yeah. Sometimes we'll go up to Cambria, which is in Central California, and there's a goat farm up there that they make goat milk and goat butter and goat
all the cheese
and everything. And it's called Stepladder Creamery, and it's great. And you can take tours of it. Wow. And we always go up there. They have these little Spanish goats called La Manchas. They have these tiny little tortellini shaped ears, and they act like dogs. They really do act like dogs. And so for one of her Christmas presents was I called the ranch and I said, can I buy a goat and keep it at your ranch? Yeah. And thinking they were going to be like, get the fuck out. And they were like, absolutely. So I bought a goat.
Oh my God.
They've committed one of the upcoming babies, which will be born in 6 weeks or whatever. And we're going to go up and then we'll have a goat and then they'll take care of it. They'll have it up there. Because we can't.
You are genius.
That was a smart thing to do.
That was a really smart thing.
I was very pleased with the engineering on that one.
That was you nailed that.
It scratched the itch, but we don't have to.
Yeah, no, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to clean up goat shit. That is the perfect.
By the way, goat shit's adorable. I don't want to.
Is it kind of like rabbit? rabbit poop?
Yes. It comes out like buckshot. Like it's just like these perfect little spheres.
Just dry. You don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to worry about it. Yeah. It's just like they're just like these little Play-Doh fun factories.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just it is perfection. But if it were up to Lydia, we would have
oh my gosh,
horses and goats and emus and
do you guys have any pets?
No, well, we had
okay.
a cat. The cat passed away right before Christmas, which was devastating. But it looks like we're getting a puppy in like
You're getting a puppy.
6 weeks or so.
We recently got an Angora bunny, which is most like because we have a lot of allergies in our house, and so this was the only thing that Tommy and Pete were not allergic to. Was a rabbit. So, but we just didn't want to have a rabbit in a cage that was just kind of like hanging out or whatever. Yeah. And our friends of ours said, our friends are, they've got an Angora bunny that they're about to give birth to. And it's most like a dog. That breed is most like a dog. And we were like, really? And they have she's long, white, furry hair. Her name is Bubbles. But like she goes in a litter box. She trained herself.
Oh, that's amazing.
And she's like a free range bunny.
She just lives out in the house?
She lives out in the house. She goes out in the courtyard. She hangs out. She eats all the plants. She only eats cilantro and like greens. And she comes to you like when you're like, hey, Bubbles, and she comes running, jumps up on your lap. So that could be a good option for you guys too.
That's not a bad idea, although it's just here, up in the hills, there's like mad coyotes.
Yeah.
It's like coyote town.
She just runs around the house.
Just run around the house.
Indoor.
I just feel like a door would get left open. Oh, that would be so stressful. That's the thing with having goats here is like, okay, Lydia, let's just, besides the fact that we do not have the facilities to raise goats, there's coyotes, and she goes, oh, well, you just get an emu. And I go, I'm not going to get a fucking emu.
to
she goes, my aunt has an emu on her farm. I go, I know emus are fucking dinosaurs, but we can't, like, it can't be, well, then we have to get that. Yeah, exactly. Then we have to get an elephant because.
Oh my God, it's so true. Have you seen that documentary? I think you guys would love it. It's the Biggest Little Farm.
No.
You guys will love it.
She's going to want everything in it.
It's so amazing. And it's about this couple in Venice whose dream is they just kind of close up shop on whatever they're doing there, and they buy some land up in like near Santa Barbara. And it's about them turning this like very drought-stricken land. It's literally got no life on it, and making it into a farm.
God damn it, I already love this.
It is, and it's all about that, the life cycle in which like, well, shit, now we have a goat. Now we need an emu to protect it from the coyotes, but now we've got too many coyotes. So what do we do about offsetting the coyote?
You have to build an ecosystem.
And they build an entire ecosystem. And it now it's, without spoiling it, it is it's thriving now. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
But you see,
I would hope that's how it ends.
It is, but you don't think it takes you on a journey, but it's it's so inspiring when you're talking about farming and anything like that, because you realize like there are great ways in that you can bring back land just by employing certain conservation efforts.
I love that.
And between animals and plants and trees, the way and how you plant them, when you plant them, actually like, no, you don't plant them in rows. You plant them like in a circular sort of pattern, because what that does when it rains, the rain won't just run off. It'll keep the rain going into the soil.
I love that shit.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. It's The Biggest Little Farm.
I will absolutely watch it.
I think you can watch it after you binge watch Messiah on Netflix.
On Netflix, yeah. Messiah, which people can watch. Then you watch Biggest Little Farm. It's sort of like the dessert. The Biggest Little Farm is the dessert after you watch Messiah.
It's really cool. It really warmed my heart.
I love that. I have so much respect for farms and farmers and farming, because even just going up to this goat farm and seeing the ecosystem that they have, where they have these two Anatolian shepherds that are these massive, like pony-sized dogs that are so sweet. But if you're an invasive predator, they will fuck your shit. They are lion hunting dogs.
Wow.
And so like just seeing and knowing that some people have the ability to look at the land and figure out how to draw life out of it, and that's all they need. When we are so reliant on so many stupid things in our city lives, and that we take for granted. And so it just, I get it. I don't think I would ever be good at it, but I completely understand like just the simplicity of like, it's such a metaphor for life. However much care you give a thing is what's going to grow. And sometimes, no matter how much care, it's not going to work, and you got to start over, and you got to be okay with that. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. This place that we just went to up in northern New Mexico is it's called Vermejo, and it's under Ted Turner, who's got millions and millions of property and land that he's preserving. And one of the things that he's doing, the catalyst from buying all this land was there were only 300 bison, American bison, years ago, and he was like, "Wait, this is impossible. I want to bring back the bison, but in order to do that, I need to give them a land that's inhabitable and all these things." So over the course of, conserving the land, they were just telling us, they have a river that runs through the properties. I think it's about 500,000 acres. And they no longer in New Mexico had the native fish of Mexico. Like they couldn't find it in all their fishes or all their streams and the lakes. And they're like, wow, it's extinct. And there was somebody that had found one, or a few, and they started breeding them or fishing, fishing things or whatever. And they said, well, we're going to put it back into the Vermejo River. And they found out, because they employ all the biologists, environmentalists, and they all work together on this property. There's like 5 or 6. It's like the biggest little farm, but like times like 100 what they're doing there with all the animals. And they realized that it had the river had gone up half a temperature. And it had gone up half a temperature, not for environmental reasons. That is why all the fish died. But it went up half a temperature because on the edge of the river, they have all the grass, and the grass was being eaten by all the elk. Oh. And so then the river got hot, and then it killed all the natural fish. So what they did is they cleaned out the Vermejo River of all the fish that had just been dumped in there, which took like 2 or 3 years apparently. And then they somehow managed to get the elk population under control by evening out the bull elk to the cow elk, the male female elk. So now they've got that down to like 8,000, which is the ideal number, which is sustainable. So now the grass is growing back along the sides of the river, and now the fish are thriving because it's lowered the temperature of the water.
That's incredible.
And that's what they're doing. They've got like bobcats there that they've got 5,000 bison. They've got like 500 wild horses. They've got like the elk population. But it's so interesting.
Oh my God, 5,000 bison.
Yeah. And it's really it's all about just, people, special people like that can, if we just take an example of like how to conserve, and maintain and sustain all of our animals by just,
paying attention,
just by paying attention to the environment and what they do. Anyway, we're going off on a tangent.
No, it's nice. It's a good tangent really because it's a good, it's whether you're farming or whether you're like trying to nurture a career or bring back bison, everything relies on everything else. Everything is some kind of a delicate ecosystem that requires care and attention. And again, it's the things that you really nurture in your life are the things that you pay attention to. So if you're paying attention to this, how do we solve this problem? It just shows like, we could solve a lot more things if we were paying attention to the right things.
That's exactly right.
But just how easy it is to get caught up in our day-to-day, like, distraction heavy life. It's the amount of distractions we have in our lives now, our brains were never meant to process. Yes. We're just overloaded.
It's true.
All the time.
It's so true, man.
Yeah. So I someday we might have a farm, and maybe I'll have to call and go, what do I do?
I'll be there.
You said a circular pattern. I'm supposed to plant this shit. None of this shit grows. Well, we tried to, Lydia, we have this grapefruit tree that has these really rare grapefruits. It's just been on the property for, probably 100 years.
Wow.
And we're to understand that it's probably not, like, I don't think it lives a lot past 100 years. So we've been trying to cultivate the grapefruit seeds, and we can get them to sprout.
Right.
And then after sprouting, they just wither, and we cannot figure out. And I know there's a solution. It is a math problem, and I know there's a math problem to figure it out.
Oh my gosh! That's amazing. Grapefruit, by the way, are my favorite food. I love grapefruit. You've got to figure that out.
We have got to figure it out.
Okay,
And she
internet,
also
help us out.
She also was she found these apples that I think they only grow maybe at the base. I'm throwing this out. Maybe at the base of Mount Rainier, but they're like these green apples that are pink on the inside.
What?
And they are unfucking believable.
my
Like
God.
the best apple you've ever had in your life. And there's only a handful of places that actually grow them. And so she was like, "Oh my God, we have to like grow these down here."
It's an apple farm. You need to like start.
They won't grow down here because it's too
Oh my
much of a desert
God.
climate. But it's just knowing that there are things out there in the world that if you just give them care
Yeah.
and cultivate them,
That's
will
right.
will bear fruit.
Yes.
Maybe it's because I'm getting older, but that idea is really sexy to me. Like, oh, you could just make a thing out of nothing. You could not out of nothing, but you could just make a thing.
No,
Yeah, I
it's
don't know.
true. My husband is doing that now with a ficus because ficus are really finicky to grow or to kind of keep alive. And we've got a beautiful ficus that we've been growing, and now he's like, this is a really great ficus tree. So now he's trimmed it, and now he's trying to grow his own ficus.
Yeah.
But it's that he's getting it to like sprout, and it's all coming, and he's like, I think I'm stuck. I think I'm stuck. Like I need what's the next thing? What's the next thing that I'm not doing? But it is, and there's so much gratification in that, where you're nurturing something, you're cultivating, and it's growing, and it's it's
That was
pretty
one of
cool.
the other Christmas presents I got Lydia was a.
We can also grow pot too. Just keep it simple. You know what I'm saying? We do live in California.
Oh my God. Yeah, I miss that, but again, because I can't do anything, and even some of the CBD stuff, I'm like. Because I played golf in Hawaii,
Yeah.
and Lydia said, "Well, my shoulder got tight,
Yes.
so I can put a CBD patch on there." I was like, "There can't be any THC in there," and so it was one of those like, no. But it's such a gray area with CBD right now, and
It very much
everyone
is.
thinks it like cures everything.
Yeah.
and it's like, when are we gonna? And I know it's very helpful.
Yeah.
But you start reading about it, and there's a lot of like, well, not enough research is done yet, so we kind of need to see. But it seems very.
It's still like the
promising.
wild, wild west with all that
Still
stuff.
is a little bit the wild, wild west, all that stuff. Yeah. Do you guys? Do you grow weed or you don't? You
We haven't grown weed yet.
no.
But I say yet. I say yet.
Yet.
I say yet. I say
But
yet.
it is. It's like it's interesting that just. If you even just grow a simple thing, and then you go, oh my God, I nurtured this. I guess anything in my life that I, tend to the soil. Oh my God, if I paid more attention to my kids, if I paid more attention to my job, if
all
I
of
paid
that.
more attention to being present, it's like you start extracting these really amazing life lessons. I got Lydia this thing called Blumenbox, and it's basically they just send you once a month like a bunch of different seeds and the soil and little tools.
Whoa.
And you can, like grow. Katie's ear just
Oh
perked up.
my God, that's so
I haven't
cool.
gotten the first one yet, so I don't know what it was. It's
Oh
called
my
Blumenbox.
God! What
if
a
anyone cares.
brilliant idea!
Yeah.
Our kids would love that. I would love that. But
Yeah,
what a
you can
great thing
either-
to do with the family,
Yeah,
right?
you can either just get seeds, or you can get. They'll send you like an upgraded box. They'll actually send you
The-
soil and the tools and stuff.
Okay, I'll need that upgraded box.
Oh, and then I also
You
subscribe
get
to
the real upgrade. Will they actually send somebody with the
dude.
box?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ted. I'm gonna I'll tend
exactly.
to your land. It's and then there was I wish I could remember the name of it, but I also in conjunction with that a separate like a fairy box where they'll send you like fairy shit, so you can just put like little like fairy scenes around your garden.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so it was
That-
actually pretty outdoorsy Christmas.
Yeah,
for
no, you
Liz.
did really, really well.
Yeah, for
You
an
did
indoor kid.
really well.
Not used to it at all.
You kind of nailed it.
What did you score for what was your Christmas this year?
What was my Christmas? So I got an earring. I got this little. I got a
very
little,
pretty.
I got a little earring. And what else did we do? I got my husband just wanted. I really didn't want to get it for him, but he really wanted the new iPhone. So I was like, "Am I really just getting you the new iPhone?" And he was like, "Yes, you really. It's all I really."
It's so we can
want."
look up YouTube videos to figure out how to grow that ficus tree.
And also take pictures of me.
And take a look. The camera's amazing.
That's the thing. Like the camera really is so amazing. And when we were on vacation, of course, like he helps me out with my social media and he takes photos and stuff. And of course, we take photos of the whole family and everything. But he was like, "Oh, no. Actually, I think you're going to have to get your own camera now because I don't have the new one." And he was like, no, because this is going to get really annoying really fast. He's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I finally have like a a phone that just works is a camera. Like, and now I'm just carrying around a
Amazing camera, just okay.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So that was nice. So we had a really nice.
That's
nice. Really nice.
How do you not go overboard with the kids? Like, how do you not go, oh my God, let's just give them 200 presents?
You know what? It's really that is really hard, and it's a really good question. We make a really good point of there's an organization that I'm a part of called Baby to Baby, which is all about donating gently used goods and baby essentials for kids from like age 0 to 12. And I'm glad I'm getting a chance to plug it because they work not only with like about I want to say it's like 100 organizations just in the local Los Angeles county, like shelters, homeless shelters, foster kids. By distributing all these items, we have a big warehouse. So any organization, nonprofit can come to the warehouse and take whatever they need. And they also distribute in times of disaster. So, when the fires are happening here, I'm sure they're sending stuff to Australia as we speak. So they're an amazing organization. So they're always in need of any like books, toys, clothes, anything that you can send, to them. So every year before the holidays, we usually start around Thanksgiving time. We kind of go through all the kids' things, and we start to explain to them, Christmas is coming along. There are a lot of kids out there whose folks can't afford to buy things. And so it's a good way for us to be, thoughtful and to kind of pay things forward as we do, donate things forward. But also start for them to kind of understand that we need to give back more than we receive.
That's nice.
So it's a struggle a lot, mostly with our son who's a little bit younger. And he's like, but I love this stuffed bear.
He doesn't understand yet, right?
But I love this stuffed bear. And then so we kind of have to have a big talk about it or whatever. But I'm also very clear. I'm like, you guys will give. You guys will get what you give back, you know? And so that's that. I think the conversation starts with that first. And then they do their Christmas list. And of course, their Christmas list will probably have like 12 or 13 things on them that they want. And then it's like, but Santa doesn't bring everything on the list.
That's such a great fallback to like blame it on another dude. I don't know why that fucking guy. What a piece of shit. I know you had 12 things, he brought 8.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's how it works.
So it's like one of those things that they'll get like Tommy got a bike. And he got a basketball, and then he got his like his stocking stuffed with some bits and pieces, like a terranium or something, and like a car that he wanted. And Willow got like a light for her bedroom, which she really actually needed because she didn't have, and then she got some hair dye because that's like all the rage now. And
really? Kids are dyeing their hair?
Yeah, she really wanted, like, she's been wanting to dye her hair for 2 or 3 years, and I was like, no, but it actually happened. And but the thing was, I realized that she finally didn't believe in Santa because when she saw it, she looked at me, she goes, thank you. And I was like, wait, me? I mean, you should be thanking Santa. Yeah. And I was like, I had a feeling like this was the first year she didn't believe in Santa, but I think the deal was, it was like, how is it? Because I don't remember finding out about that, but I was like, she must think like if she finds out about it and she cops to it, then she doesn't get presents from Santa anymore. Right. So like she's going to keep it on the down low. And I'm just wondering like how many more years should be like 17.
Hey, this is great. Santa. It's kind of funny that from 0 to anywhere between 10 and 13.
Yeah.
13 beyond is where we have to start unraveling the lies. Okay, many things we told you were not true.
Yeah.
And you have to unlearn a lot of them.
Yeah.
And then you get out of high school and then you get into college and you're like, oh, shit I learned in high school wasn't true. And then you get out of college and you're like, oh, a bunch of shit they told me in college wasn't true. Yeah, it's just basically living this life is basically just about like unraveling lies that you've been told your whole life.
You're so true. Oh my God, it's so terrible.
I think that's great though. I think it's, you could always tell the kids we had a conference call. Santa does conference calls.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, like we're really trying to...
Santa's actually over Christmas this year, it turns out, kids. Like, it's just like,
You're going to give mommy that bear or mommy's going to put your hands in snow.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
I don't know. Like, you decide. If we can't win you over with the charitable angle.
Exactly.
I like to ask because my inclination would be to just give the kids everything, but I've talked to a lot of friends who, who are very privileged and but trying to strike the balance between like not turning their kids into dicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Who expect everything.
I mean, I had a friend literally go through it the other day. She has like a 4-year-old, I believe, and the 4-year-old got a lot of presents because grandma and grandpa and that side of the family, and then the other side of the family was Hanukkah, so she was getting multiple presents on each day of Hanukkah and stuff. And then, they just went to like Rite Aid or whatever, and then the little girl was like, "Oh, I want this."
Oh.
And she was like, "No, you're not having that." Like, because they get so used to the idea of like getting. And she goes, and as a result of saying no, we had the biggest meltdown in like aisle 2 of Rite Aid. You know what I mean? So she's like, that is that moment where like not only are they getting so many presents, but they're also getting a shit ton of sugar.
Yes.
And so like you're just like
and
sitting
attention
and the whole thing.
That endorphin rush of ripping open a thing.
Totally.
It's all the soil. It's all what kind of soil are you gonna grow your kid in?
Exactly.
Well, we should talk about Messiah. So that people know. Is it one of those things that you can't talk about too much without spoiling it?
No,
or can you talk about
no, I can. I can talk about it. The thing that drove me to this series. Well, first of all, it was 10 episodes, and I rarely do you get to read 10 episodes, a complete season of a show prior to doing it. And I was just coming off of a show, and I didn't intend on going back to work. But if there's this thing called binge reading, I binge read the whole thing, and then I was like, "Shit, honey, I'm sorry, I'm going back to work." It was that thing, and I had never read anything that had such a large global perspective, like that encompassed like the globe in terms of various different belief systems. The show is shot in Arabic and in Hebrew and in English. And it speaks about Islam, Judaism, Christianity, or if you're agnostic, that's also another form of belief.
Of course.
So you don't have to necessarily subscribe to any one of these, and it doesn't purport to take any sides of any of these religions. But what it is, it's a man that is essentially gained like notoriety for some events that have taken place in the Middle East on the border of Syria with some refugees, and in the nature of social media, it goes viral. Mm-hmm. And I play a CIA agent who sees this event go viral, and I look at it immediately as a threat, and that this is somebody who's going to wreak havoc on a global scale. And so I go on to the pursuit of finding this man. And the man, that should be noted, he never calls himself the Messiah.
So you're basically a Jesus hunter.
I'm a Jesus hunter, basically. And what's interesting about the show, what I love, is that there's a number of various characters and storylines, and they are this really intricately woven story that's unraveled as you move through the 10 episodes through the perspectives of all these different characters. One being, Messiah, or Al-Masih is the character that he goes by. But he's really holding a mirror up to the world, up to each one of these characters and these individuals, and is really asking them I know you're all in search of something, whether it's actual freedom. If you're a refugee, you see it through the eyes of a refugee, a Syrian refugee. You see it the eyes from a pastor in Texas who's, struggling with his church. And you see it from a woman who's professionally, this is her job to find this man. She's he's a con man. But she's inwardly struggling with a lot of things personally. She's living a very isolated life. So it's really what we project onto the world. And he holds a mirror to each of these characters, into the world itself, and we're forced to ask ourselves, what are we projecting? What are the impact that we're making? And so it provokes a conversation, and I'm so encouraged because that's what I loved about the show. It's such an international cast. Like I say, it's in multiple languages, and it's really, but it feels like a thriller.
Right.
And one episode feels very threatening, and another one is very provocative, very thought provoking. And I encourage people to watch it. It's a communal experience, because the takeaway from, my takeaway on it was so very different from my husband's takeaway from like anybody, like my other friends who are watching it. And it begs you to almost dissect each episode after you've watched it or talk about it, like, because you'll identify with the different character.
Almost have a show after a show that talks about that show.
Yeah, exactly.
Really interesting idea.
Yeah, so there you go. There you
Talking
go.
Messiah.
Yeah, so it's great. And the response that I've been getting so far, it just started airing January 1st, but people, like, that was the intention of our show, for it to spark conversation with, like, in such divisive times. So you don't have to believe in anything or any particular religious, faith for you to take away. The Messiah is called Messiah, and people get maybe some idea that we're like, promoting one religion or faith over the other. But it's not that. We're asking people to like look inward. It forces you to look inward.
That's really interesting, especially in a time where literally almost anything you can believe, anything you want to believe or believe, can be supported by whatever sort of, rabbit holes you go down.
And propaganda. And, we all, I think what's really great about this show is that it forces you to put yourself in someone else's shoes. I think, like, we experience a particular kind of narrative. We've been fed a particular kind of narrative about a particular kind of region or religion or group of people. And that's not indifferent to, how people are receiving their news in other parts of the world. Sure. And so this show really lifts the curtain, a little bit. And you really see at the end of the day, in my personal experience and having shot in these places as well, is that we really are more alike than we are different. And at the end of the day, my God, all we want is like freedom for our family. We want safety. We want health.
Right.
And I think that the show really taps into that in a really profound way. And it's really, that's exciting for me, that there's like a dialogue that's starting now within, different groups of people, and people are realizing, the impact that, something like this conversation can have. And
also fun, I would imagine, fun for you to be able to, like, you might do a project that's just fun, and then a project that's really thought-provoking, and then a project that challenges your own belief system that you, like, being able to have that kind of a career it sounds great, and you got to take 7 months off. I don't know. I think it sounds to me like you have the perfect career.
Yeah.
You get time with your family. You got a fucking rabbit.
And then after this, the first movie that I went back to do was The Craft, which is like the night.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What?
With Zoe Lister-Jones. She reimagined the
How
great
did I not know they were I love that movie.
Oh my God. Jason Blumhouse.
Fairuza Balk?
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved The Craft.
Yeah. So it is fucking good. I'm really excited. I just wrapped it. So we've got, Zoe Lister-Jones had this really great, brilliant idea about this reimagination. And it's really contemporary, kind of on the heels of the Me Too movement. She pitched it to Blumhouse, and he was like, let's go make it. So Sony's made it, and it really tackles like real societal norms right now. And
that's spectacular.
It is.
Oh my God, I love The Craft.
Yeah.
Fairuza Balk, Nev Campbell. Who else? Robin Tunney.
Robin Tunney.
Amazing soundtrack.
So now we've got a young female cast. It was
fantastic.
All female led.
I'm so excited to see that.
Yeah.
When's that come out?
We don't have a release date.
Okay.
So we just wrapped it. So I imagine maybe like spring, summer.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah.
We're gonna be all over that.
Yeah.
It is, if she doesn't already know about it, she's gonna be way into that.
Yeah,
too.
you're gonna dig it. So
I
cool.
do notice some witchy candles around the house from time to time. Like, she goes to I'll see
like the
her
sage, and she probably like Palo Santo.
Well, she goes to this place and she gets these candles in there. I notice there are different oils.
Yes.
That make it, or sometimes I'm a shower person and she's a bath person, but if I take a bath, she'll go, let me mix
a little
some
bit
oils.
of lavender.
She does like these oils in the bathtub.
A little bit of lavender, a little bit of lemon, a little bit.
She might be a secret witch.
Yeah.
She might be a secret witch, and just doesn't really talk openly about it.
Oh my God, I love it.
There's some witchy things that happen around us.
I love it.
Katie Levine, did we ever figure out what you're supposed to do? Warm water.
Warm water.
Not hot water.
God,
because you probably want to get the circulation going again, right?
Exactly. Warm water it is.
Warm water.
Not a steamy hot shower for your kid.
Not a heater, not a steamy hot shower.
Exactly.
Don't put your hands on or in a stove. Warm, just tepid water to get the circulation flowing again. I hope we've saved someone's hands today on the show. Michelle Monaghan, have always been so amazing and coming on. I think this is like your third or fourth time coming on, and I just appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you.
And I don't know, is like if Pete's around and you guys ever want to like hang out or have a dinner or something.
Let's do it. I would love that.
You know, like
I would love that
because it's I feel like. It almost feels like Legend of Zelda with friends as you get older. You're like, every good friend that you meet is a treasure.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you gotta just, there's a lot of not great people in the world. Or people that don't.
That you don't vibe
sync
with.
to your values.
Exactly,
yes, that you don't vibe with.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like that idea of choosing who to hang out with and sort of carefully.
Yeah. It's like a curating
tilling your
group.
friend garden. If you will.
I'll till mine if you till mine.
Tilling your friend garden to just make sure that it's filled with good people. But you're just, and you guys just seem like the coolest parents too.
Thank you.
So when we do have kids, if I do text you for every once in a while, I'll be like, what do I do if ...
Done. I would love that.
A lot of it's probably going to just be like, don't fucking worry about it. Just
It is
relax.
a lot of it is don't worry about it, but I got so much advice on that front. It's like, definitely.
Well, that's what it seems like is if you helicopter parent, then your kids are going to get messed up.
Yeah.
But if there's that balance between like being present but not overly.
Exactly.
And how do you find that?
It's so true.
I don't know, because I imagine when you have a kid, a lot of chemical things kick in.
For sure.
That your body is telling you, like, shield this, stop that. Oh, but so I have no predictions for how what type of parent I'm going to be.
Yeah, and you won't know until as you move through it. The one thing that I've always sort of, Kevin Bacon gave me the best advice. He was like, just always remember this too shall pass. So like when you're in that dark moment where like you're
when
not
you're in
sleeping.
aisle 2 of the Rite Aid.
Oh yeah. And this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And then when you're having like the most beautiful moment, like, I was in the tub last night with both the kids and we had like a great night and we all slept like 11 hours.
Oh.
And I was like in that tub, we were all playing and like splashing each other and shit. And I was like that. I had that feeling. I was like, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's about cherishing the moments that when they're good and everything's kind of like singing and you're like, okay, this is what really matters.
That's an interesting. I've never heard that take on it before, because this too shall pass I've always heard as being like when negative things happen.
Yeah.
But it's also a reminder
to be present.
To
and
be present.
And to appreciate it.
Because it's all going to pass.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God, damn it.
Yeah.
My brain just spews out of it. It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, a lot of philosophies, a lot of religions, they all have that core idea of like just like being as present as possible.
It is. It's true. It's like we really live by, like, I recently explained like what the golden rule was to my son about a month ago. It was right around the holiday time. We're not religious people. We're very spiritual, but we really, really do live by the golden rule. Like, do unto others as you have them do unto you. And I was really, and I just used that. I was like, listen, like, we went on holiday and he was kind of being a dick and, to his sister. And I was like, listen, do you realize like Willow just gave you whatever she was doing. She wanted to share it with you. But earlier in the day, you remember, like when she asked you if she could use that or try that or whatever, you were really, you said no. And I said, I just want to be a reminder, like what Willow just did for you right now was the golden rule. So that's an example of the golden rule that I was trying to explain to you. And I wasn't like trying to be a jerk about it, but I wanted him to realize and see, like, she let it go when he didn't do it. But then like when she did it later for him, and I said, that's the golden rule. What she just did for you.
Did he absorb that?
Oh, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I know.
Oh, that's
I know.
great.
So he absorbed it. So it's not like getting upset with him, but I'm just like pointing it out to you. Like, so that's the golden rule. Like, that's how that works.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe next time, it's just like,
so
slowly implanting like little things into their head.
But it's also understanding what the present is.
Yeah.
Because I feel when we were snorkeling in Hawaii, we came upon these sea turtles that were just so chill, and you can't get too close to them, and you can't, you're not allowed to touch them, and you can't touch the coral, so you have to be very careful. But they were the chillest, like, like they would just surface right near you, and they all looked like fucking Crush from Nemo. They all looked like Crush. So I'm in this moment, and I'm like, I got to appreciate, I'm trying to absorb, like I'm trying to feel as much of the present as possible. And then I realize like, oh, that's not like, maybe that's how like a former alcoholic tries to like, I got to suck in every.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you just have to be here.
Yeah.
And you just have to notice everything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to feel like some sort of a rush. It's just you just understanding and appreciating that you're in this moment and,
and breathing it in.
And, my dad loved turtles and he, so that's how I remember, one of the ways I remember him and just sort of like experiencing it rather than like, I gotta fucking feel. Yeah. I gotta feel. Feel the present like it's a shot of tequila. Like no, it's just a state. It's like you're not chasing the happiness. You're just being. Yeah,
that's such a great way of. That's a really great way of putting it. Not chasing the happiness, but just sort of being in the happiness of that already exists right then and there.
I can't wait to watch your show now that we have a working internet.
Yeah. I think you guys will dig it. I think it'll speak to you.
Just to hear you describe it, like just because the different perspectives, and then and of course my next question is like, well, is he the? But you can't tell me that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I have to watch.
Yeah, and everybody's answer will probably be different in terms of
Anytime you ever need anything, I don't know how Lydia or I could be helpful to you or Pete, but we're here for you.
If you see any grapefruit missing, my friend,
oh my God, I'll give you. Yes, I'll bring you. We will bring you some grapefruits from the trees.
I'll swap you some Meyer lemons for a grapefruit.
Oh yeah, please. We'll do a lemon swap.
Okay,
that sounds like a gross thing. Do not Google lemon swap. I guarantee you the first page of Google results is disgusting. I'm just taking a guess. Thank you for being here, Michelle Monaghan.
Thank you.
The end. That was the ID10T podcast number 1040 with Michelle Monaghan. It's time for Idiot Rap. Idiot Rap, W-R-A-P, like a wrap up? Or is it like R-A-P, like a rap, like we're having a rap session? God, this is the year I just land on a name for whatever this section is called. But because it is a new year, I've been thinking a lot about, obviously, everyone makes resolutions. That's what we do after the winter harvest feast. We start a new calendar year. It's a new us. It's a new decade. It's a new everything. So let's like make broad sweeping, massive changes in our life. And I really have come to, by the way, I used to love the sort of massive change thing, right? Because it like you can just, it gives you a thing to jump to, right? Oh, I'm not happy with whatever, life situation I'm in, or whatever my habits are that I want to change. So I'm just going to, all of a sudden on a dime, I'm just going to change. I'm just going to do it. And this is the signal. The new year or a new decade is a nice signal to make that sharp turn. And then, obviously, the sort of cliche joke is that, after 2 weeks, you might just sink back into your old habits. So why is that? I don't think it's because we're bad people or we're lazy people or we suck or any of the crap that we tell ourselves to feel bad. I honestly think it generally has a lot to do with just trying to take on too much at once. Habits are difficult to change. It's sort of like, think about, let's say you want to change your fitness regime or your work habits or whatever. If you wanted to, let's say, learn the clarinet, for example, you wouldn't just give up after a week. Oh, I didn't master the clarinet in a week, because that's not a realistic goal. But why do we treat ourselves the same way? Like we expect to just massively change our habits or our lives. And then if it doesn't work or it's hard or we can't really figure out how to do it in a week or two, we're just like, fuck it. So this is what I propose to you. All right. Instead of trying to embrace, it's good to have like big ticket goals if you want them. I'm not saying you don't have to do any of this. You don't have to make big changes for the new year if you don't want to. If you're happy and content with where you are, good for you. That's great. That's a great place to be. But I think it's good if you want to have like big, giant goals, but maybe commit yourself to focusing on incremental change. I honestly think, incremental change. Someone posted something on Reddit, might have been in the Get Motivated subreddit, but it was just on basically like the graph of compound interest and how it just sharply goes up after a little bit of time. And so if you just focus on incremental change, just kind of whatever you can get done in a day, even if it's like when I'm practicing piano, some days I only have like 10 minutes, like if Lydia and I are going out to dinner and I get ready before she does and I have 10 or 15 minutes, I'll just go sit down at the piano and noodle around for 10 or 15 minutes. Now, is that 10 or 15 minutes going to make me an expert piano player? No, but I got to check the box for the day. So not only do I feel good about myself because I actually did it, but it does, like every little piece does contribute to the overall goal. So what if we just kind of approached life that way? Like we embrace the incremental. Because over time, which moves very quickly as we are living in 2020 now in the future, 2 months will go by before you know it, 4 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, and all of those little incremental changes that you embraced on a daily basis will add up, and it will blow your fucking mind. So give future you the gift of incremental, positive deposits, I suppose you want to say. My fitness trainer, Tom, always just says like, just make daily deposits. You're just making little deposits in your account, in the account of you. And then, like the example being that if I make fitness deposits and then all of a sudden, I go through like a month where I get sick and I'm traveling or something happens or I, hurt my foot and I can't work out. I've made a bunch of deposits that basically allow me to sort of live off that savings for like, however much time. And then when I'm able, and then I just kind of get back into it. That's why I don't stress about like fitness stuff anymore. I used to really freak out if there was like 3 weeks where I couldn't do it or a month or whatever, I got to start all over. No, I don't start all over. It doesn't matter. I do it when I can. I make the deposits when I can. And you can do that with your habits too. So embrace incremental change. There's so much power in what feels so small because those are the building blocks. Those are the molecules. If you just looked at molecules, if you looked at molecules through a microscope, you'd go, well, what the fuck are these? These aren't anything. These are just little globs. Don't mean anything. But then as you start to get more of a galactic view, you see like, oh my God, these little tiny incremental things are the building blocks of everything. So embrace your habit molecules. I hope this wasn't too rambly. I didn't really think it out before I started saying it. It's just all been kind of swirling in my head. But I really do believe that embracing these kind of incremental changes will help you achieve success. Because again, when you try to make, it's like, if you want to embrace fitness, you're not going to get into shape in one session. So don't kill yourself in the gym. Or if you want to write a novel, you're not going to write it sitting down one time. So don't beat yourself up if you don't write the perfect novel in one session or a week. Like those are the types of goals that when you put that kind of expectation on yourself, and then chances are you're not going to get in shape in one session. You're probably going to injure yourself, or you're not going to write a novel in one session. You're probably going to hate writing after that because you're putting so much pressure on yourself. You're just kind of setting yourself up to fail for yourself. Because you're going to go, I didn't do it. I didn't write a novel in a day. I suck, man. Fuck this. I'm never going to do this. And then it's painful, and then you avoid it because you're ashamed. So it's not about, it's just about the conversation you have with yourself and how you define success and how you accept your daily habits into your life. And then sooner or later, those little incremental things just become a part of you again. They become a part of you. And then you will be a novelist or a piano player or a fitness guru or whatever it is that you want to achieve. You can achieve what you focus on. So feed yourself good habits, feed yourself a good personal inner dialogue, feed yourself, make it easy for yourself to succeed by embracing incremental change. So there you go. If you can sort through any of all that stuff, I appreciate you listening to this. I hope you have a wonderful, happy new year, and I'll see you in your ears real soon.
ID10T scanning complete. Enjoy your burrito.